Hello, and you're listening to Spirit Talk Show. I'm Doyle, your host. We are reading AI generated stories, stories that connect us, stories about life, stories about people, stories that are usually fun. So sometimes they're a little bit scary. I think some people are sometimes a little bit shocked at how accurate they are about their life. But we're reading these stories that have only been generated tonight. They'll never be heard again. Well, hopefully somebody will hear them again, but they'll never be written again. They'll never be generated again. And you're hearing them for the first time, cold reading. And if you guys would like to get involved, you can go to spirittalkshow.com. You can see all our um, information there. I'm actually working on redesigning the website based on the website of my guest tonight because I'm thinking his website was so good. My guest tonight, I like to have friends with me on the show to read stories. And I had the pleasure of going on a podcast recently called My Stuttering Life. I don't know, most people who are listening probably know I do have a stutter. It's pretty fluid now, but I have Pedro Pena from My Stuttering Life here with me. Hey, Pedro.
Hel- hel- Hello, sir. Good evening, and thank you for having me on your awesome show.
It's great. It's great. I really love to have, it's fun to do these stories with people. I find it to be a very intimate thing, and I don't mean that in because I'm kind of like we're in love now. Hey, but we could be. But um, I mean like you get to learn things about people, and like tell me the story that you're just telling me before you came on there about a connection you had with somebody from your show in Africa.
Um, I had a guest
Hmm.
on my a podcast a year ago,
Hmm.
and and he comes from the Congo, and um and and he is on the U.S. On the bobsled
Wow.
team, and he has aspirations of going
Hmm.
to the winter the Olympics,
Hmm.
next year.
Wow. He,
And so
mhm.
um I uh uh and so I had received an email,
Hmm.
from a a a listener um who was in the Congo, and so he had emailed me in that he was inspired and moved by the guest, because he had never heard a person who has a stutter on the radio.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I mean, he had emailed me, that the podcast episode um had inspired him. And
Wow.
so
Great.
he thanked me, and he was happy to hear um uh, another person who has a stutter on the radio. And so ooh, it touched my heart. And
That's
so I was like,
that's so
I
sweet.
mean, it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
That's so sweet. He reached out to you from listening to your show, and he's in the bobsled team. Wow. So let's
Yes,
talk.
sir.
Let's talk a little bit about stuttering because I think people who listen might be. Have you ever described to somebody what it's like to have a stutter? Like, what is it like for you to have a stutter? What do you notice, or what have you learned over the years? Learned is an Irish word for learned. um, to um, to help you with it to get more fluent?
S- And so my stutter, it was caused by a dog attack at the age of 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so I was walking home from school, and there was a German Shepherd.
Hmm.
He was a white dog, huge dog,
Yeah.
and so he was on a yard at a house. And so, as I was walking home, I turned, I looked at him, and then he got up and then he charged at me. And so, as you know, I'm
Hmm.
5 years old. I
Hmm.
ran.
Hmm.
I ran home. And so he jumped on me. He bit my leg, and my head hit the concrete
Oh, wow.
of the sidewalk. And so, um, after that, I could not speak. And so I could not speak for, a year.
Oh, wow.
And so after that, my parents uh, put me in a speech therapy.
Hmm.
And so my stutter is, a random.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it doesn't matter, if I'm anxious or if I am confident. Um, it just happens. I may have a block, I may have a repetition.
Hmm.
However, I've had 20 years of speech therapy. And so a lot of hard work.
Hmm.
And so I've also, I tried, a voodoo
Yeah.
because I had heard,
Okay.
that if I do this, it will get rid of it. And so
Hmm.
I said, well, I got some money. And so I paid a woman who held a, a rooster's, a claw over my head and told me to turn around a couple of times.
Okay.
And that, sh- you know, she was going to go and grab an egg and crack it into a glass of water.
Okay.
And so if the egg yolk held, um, I am cured.
Hmm.
However, um, if it breaks, then you know, I am not.
Okay.
And so she had the egg, and she cracked it, and it held. And so in my head, I thought, wow, I am cured. I do not have this anymore. And so I paid her, a lot of money.
Hmm.
And so I walked out and said, wow, in my head,
Hmm.
it's gone. It's gone. And so I said, well, I'm hungry. I will go for a hamburger. And so, I'm in Texas. And so I go to a Whataburger. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, in my head, I am cured,
Hmm.
Doyle. I'm cured. And so I go in, I walk up, and I am, greeted, and nothing, nothing comes out, Doyle.
Yeah.
Nothing comes out.
Like that
And so,
tip of your tongue. Yeah. Yeah.
um, I've had it since the age of 5, and I just turned 54.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's a random. However, has you know it has taught me to be resilient
Hmm.
and courageous, and and empathy.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a lot of people hear stuttering and they don't really know what it is. And you seem to have a different kind of stutter than me. You seem to have because there's different seems to be different types of stutters. There seems to be these. Why is that word stutter is such a hard word for stutterers to say? Who
You're
named it
telling
stuttering?
me, Doyle.
Yeah, who named it stuttering? Who chose? Who did? What state has called it stuttering? Uh, um, because you seem to have a. I have a stutter, but I stop and I pause in some words. But you seem to have a little bit of a tick in your stutter too, right? Have you been
I
talking?
have a bunch of ticks. My eyes open and close. I may have my hands up in the air.
Hmm.
I also I click. You know, um, you know, I have facial jerks and ticks. But I mean, it's just me. I'm Pedro.
So
I know I'm awesome.
hey,
I just have a stutter.
you're an awesome. You're enough. You're perfect. But let's go back to something you said because I think we talked about this when I came on your podcast. By the way, your Pedro's podcast is called My Stuttering Life. Go to mystutteringlife.com. I think you have like what thousands of episodes or something. How many episodes you have?
I think I like
Oh
144.
wow! And you go by seasons or you just keep one, two, three, four? I kept going by seasons because I know when I listen to podcasts, I like to know where to begin. I know some people say, well, begin at one and then go to two and then go to three. But I like the seasons idea too because I can also change the themes of the season. I'm thinking about changing the theme for season four late. But I want to go back to something you said earlier because we spoke about when I was on your podcast. You said cured. Your stutter was cured, which is indicative of you believing that it's some kind of ailment, right? So do you think stuttering is, I mean, you hit your head, right? So this could be actually something to do with damage to, like to your head, right? But like, what do you think about it? Like, is it something that needs to be cured or to just like, what do you think?
Mine is neurological. It's a neurogenic stutter,
Mm-hmm.
caused by trauma. And so, as a whole, there is not, you know, a cure. Um, and so I have been approached. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times, a Doyle, um, you know, if I pay a 10 grand or
Mm-hmm.
2 grand, or y- uh, uh, he or she can, cure me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, in my head, in my heart of hearts, I know, you know, that I am not broken.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I am not, damaged. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And um, here is a head scratcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so my, my mom, she had a stutter.
Mm-hmm.
However, in her teens, she had, told herself, that she was tired of it.
Okay.
She had told herself, I'm done. I'm done.
That's it. Done with stutter. I'm done. Okay.
Right. And she was. Sh-
Okay. Wow.
I mean, it was all gone. It was all gone. So, I mean, there is a genetic, a component
Yeah.
to it
Mm-hmm.
because, her, um, her mom,
Mm-hmm.
um, also had it. And so, I mean, I don't know, if I was destined to have it anyway, However, the dog attack, it may have just hit the switch.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
Well,
all random, Doyle. It's all
well,
random.
I have siblings who have stutters, and I don't know about my parents. I think my parents were pretty private about their childhoods, but I know, so I don't know if they had a stutter. But I have five siblings, and at least three of them have a pretty significant stutter. I mean, my stutter was a lot worse when I was a kid. I couldn't say like two words without stuttering. So I become a lot more fluid. Except for mine seems to be anxiety related. When I'm anxious or nervous, it does tend to be a little bit stronger. And of course, when you have to public speak, because when you do a podcast, sometimes people want you to speak in public because they think he's good at talking. And then people want you to speak in public. And I'm saying, well, talking to a microphone in a little room here is different from being in front of thousands of people. But
Ex-
I can do it. But I was going to ask you because we're going to read some stories here. You know that movie, The King's Speech, right? I'm sure you've seen that with Colin Firth.
uh, 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 I watched it and it was extremely difficult
Hmm.
to watch because it's like that's me.
Yeah.
That's me on TV. Yeah.
It is hard, and I'll be honest. I don't know a lot of stutterers in my life, and sometimes there is a level, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but there is a sometimes there's a feeling of uncomfortableness when someone is stuttering, and I can it's making me think about what people when they're listening to us talk, right? How they feel sometimes. You know that thing that people do when they finish your sentence and they talk over you. And in fact, I think when I was on your radio show, I did it once or twice to you, where I finished your sentence. But I think it comes from empathy, not really
Yes.
any wrong, because I want to I can see you're struggling with the word. I want to just reach out and save and wrap my arms around and say and save you like the dad like that I am. And by the way, he looks amazing for 54. He's saying he's 54. Stop it.
Oh,
At
sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank
34.
you.
Gosh. Okay. So that's what would be your advice to someone who experiences as someone with within a significant stutter, and how should they behave around someone like that?
So it is important to have, patience,
Hmm.
integrity, respect, and then also eye contact and
Hmm.
grace and grace.
Yeah.
Uh, Um, I've had so many people, Doyle. If I have a block, okay, so if I am having a block, my eyes are closed, and so I stop, breathing.
Hmm.
And so, in my 20s, I had a block. I mean, it was a long block, Doyle, and I passed out.
Oh boy.
I fell
Hmm.
on the grass,
You hit your head
and
again. Oh, you didn't, you didn't hit your
no,
head
no,
again.
no,
Maybe that
on
would
the
have
grass,
turned
Doyle.
maybe that would have turned it
No,
off. Maybe that would have turned it off if you hit your head again, right? No, I'm joking. So, okay. You hit
and
the
so I
grass.
passed out
Yeah.
on the grass, and so I mean, s- so I have also had other people um who are looking up, or they are, looking at their watch, and then I also had a handful of people who just walked away.
Yeah.
They just walked away, and I said, um, in my mind, I told myself they are not, worthy of my time
Well, yeah. I
because
mean, if they're the only thing I experienced that was kind of hateful, and I don't know, is I experienced people being impatient and people finishing words. But as a teacher, I did hear some students one time say, "Are you in Mister Doyle's class?" So I did hear that one time, and that was so. I mean, so they heard it. I think sometimes we think we're more fluid than we are, and sometimes I think we think that people notice our stutter when they don't. Like I've told friends that I have a stutter, and they've said never noticed. So
yes, yes. See, and so here is what I tell a lot of people. People don't. think about your stutter, like you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell everybody, it is important to just go and live
Mm-hmm.
and live,
Yeah.
because I spent 35 years,
Mm-hmm.
uh, of my life, um I'm isolated,
Mm-hmm.
because I had the guilt, I
Yeah.
had the shame,
Mm-hmm.
and fear. I mean, um it took over every aspect of my life. I mean, I mean, and so for those, you know, uh, 35 years, I mean, I lived in isolation, because of my stutter. And so I tell everybody, do not let it hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
You go do whatever that you want to go do,
Yeah. I mean,
and do not have any regrets.
and yeah,
Go
yeah,
live your life.
for sure. We talked about theater that we've both done and have been fluid in the theater lines because you're doing the words of another person, right? And so we
It's
talk.
weird. I
It's
mean, I mean, it is a head scratcher,
good.
Doyle.
Yeah, I think it's something in it's neurological. Well, do you want to try a story? Do you want to
I
try to?
will try a
Okay.
story.
So I mean, it's okay. I think it's a rhyming story, and it's your prompt, and right. Usually we
Okay.
read the prompt later, but
Okay.
okay. So can you see the words right there on the screen? Okay.
Y- mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know about you, but
Yes, sir.
yeah, I don't know about you, but for me, my stutter is most severe on the first word. And so if there's a way that I can like lead into the word, like, the
Mm-hmm.
first word here is in, I go in, like that. I mean, kind of like, it's kind of like almost starting a song, right? I think
Yes, sir.
that helps me. And I don't mean to be teaching you how to talk because you'd want to
No.
go to speech therapy, but I'm just saying,
It's
okay.
all good, Doyle. It's
Yes,
all
sir.
good.
Okay.
We help each other and support each other, so it's all good.
Great. So whenever you're ready, take your time.
Okay.
You're enough. You're going to do great. So, okay. Reading a
I'm
story
gonna
of the
hydrate.
prompt that you
All
sent.
right.
Okay. And
All right. So here we go.
when you're ready there.
Okay.
Okay.
In the, okay, and so I'm going to
Yeah.
approach it a different way. All right.
Okay.
So here we go.
Okay.
In the deep,
Hmm.
dark, a blue. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like, explain to me. So, you approached it. How did you approach it the first way that wasn't successful, and then what did you try the second time? Because it's a good
Okay.
um, study in stuttering.
So I tried um to find a way to kind of cheat
Yeah.
the word.
Hmm.
And so but it did not work. And so I thought of a helper word, like
Okay.
a bumper word.
Okay. Well.
So
Okay.
let me try it again.
Yeah.
In the deep, d- dark blue, where the shadows roam, a curious child calls a submarine home with portholes to gaze, at the wonders below and the dreams filled with secrets they long to know. One day, as they rummage through the nooks and through the cracks, they find a rolled map in a box at the back. A map to a place where strange creatures play, where mermaids sing and dolphins race all day. Their heart leaps quick, their eyes gleam bright, and adventure awaits in the dim ocean light. Through coral forests and shipwrecked graves, they'll drift through waters, ride shadowed waves. As the submarine hums its low, steady tune, the child peers out at the watery moon. Down where the light begins to fade, they wonder what sights will soon invade. Will they meet the mermaids with shimmering scales, with eyes like pearls and flowy tails? Or clever dolphins with secrets to share, dancing in spirals through kelp laden air?
Okay, and we're going to need to pause there for a few seconds, come back after the break, and continue your story. If you guys would like to get involved, go to spirittalkshow.com and come back after these messages.